From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Azan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, Tony White is mad, and we are madly in love with that. We celebrate the offense of Gus Malzahn's progress, and Alabama has named their starting quarterback. We discuss. Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com, synergistically formulated to energize you for 7 hours or more and give you the nutrients you need to be on top of your game. Get your focus up, get your mood up. With one little shot you can take anywhere with you. Put it in the gym bag, put it in the center console, put it in the top shelf of your desk drawer at work, put it in the break room, put it in the cookie jar. Top shelf cookie jar. That's where all the good stuff goes. Vitamin Energy, made in America, no GMOs, no sugar, just caffeine and vitamins. And it's delicious, everybody. Give it a shot, vitaminenergy.com. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. So close to football, Corey Clark. Like we're under 20 days. I felt the urgency.
You can almost taste it. You can almost taste it.
Yeah, I felt the urgency when we were talking to Gus Malzahn yesterday. If you're a member of Warchant.com, you don't have to sit through a 15-minute video. You can just go right to the Tribal Council, and Corey does a live, in real-time transcription of what is said. Now, sometimes you might want to hear, vocal cadence and tone. But, who's got time for all that when you're listening to this podcast and the Jeff Cameron Show and Seminole Headlines? So all sorts of perks, benefits. We're doing everything for you over at warchant.com. Corey, how are you, man? Are you back in town, ready to defend that title at CP during trivia tonight?
Well, I don't think we won last week, okay. So we can't defend the title. We did finish second, so we'll defend our podium. Yeah, I'm ready, man. I'm ready. Back in town, got to hang with the fam. Drove down on Monday after, I thought, some pretty illuminating interviews from the two coordinators. Okay. I like what we're doing here. I like that they're broken up.
Yes.
It's the way it was too much in one day. I feel like we
much.
get Norvell and three coordinators. It's too much.
Way too much.
Now we get Norvell one day and then the two coordinators who can really give you the insight the next day. Plus Norvell gives you little snippets, little pieces where you can then go ask the actual coach of that side of the ball what they thought of those players that Norvell mentioned. So I like it. It's a nice rhythm, I think, we got going with the head coach followed by the two coordinators.
Right on. I think the headline of yesterday's show, Corey, was, at least for me, was offense is ahead of the defense and we're okay with it. Or at least I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Feel like Tuesday was the offense is probably ahead of the defense, but Tony White is not okay with it. Mike Norvell gave us both sides making plays. We've got a lot of both sides making plays. But to hear Tony White's sort of blunt assessment on Monday, to me, was refreshing because it lets you know there's a standard and it's not being met right now, but it doesn't mean it can't be. I was very encouraged to hear him be so critical. I know that sounds crazy. I want to play the clip of him at the podium during his opening statement, Corey, and get your thoughts.
As you showed out, guys who are building the coach's trust and the confidence of their teammates, and there's some guys who need to, quite frankly, step their ass up. It's unacceptable, okay? We all need to make sure that we're all on the same page and we understand what's asked of us and what the expectations are, and either guys do it or they don't.
All right, man, that's pretty black and white. We don't have names, but it's pretty black and white that there's a way to play and there's a way to not play, and we need to get more guys on the bus, quote unquote.
Yeah, I think I got a text from our friend Spencer, who's a fan of the show, friend of the show. He said he loves hearing White talk like that. I don't think Spencer's alone. You do too. I do too. I think I think it's a fan base that needs it. Frankly, they need to see a coach that's upset and believe it and know that there's a standard that's being held to. I think Mike Norvell has a standard. I'm not trying to say he doesn't, but clearly that thing wasn't close to being reached last year. Tony White has his own standard for how hard people play. And if Norvell had one of those, which I think he did, he let it get out of control last year. It seems like Tony White is a no-nonsense, I'm not putting up with that stuff. I don't owe you guys anything. If you're not going to play hard, if you're not going to play violent, you're not going to be on the field for me. Now, he's saying that in the middle of August, It's the third quarter against Alabama. I don't know if he's running the Desir twins out there instead of Darrell Jackson if Darrell Jackson doesn't give great effort on one play. You know what I mean? Like, it's easy to say all this in August. Let's see who he's putting on the field in September, in October. If you don't see that requisite, I don't know, the requisite energy, the requisite try hard that you'd like to see out of your defense, is he still going to be this coach? I do think he will be. I don't think this is coach speak. I don't think this is bluster. I don't think this is performative. But we don't know until we see it in person throughout the course of a season. What's he gonna allow to take place in a game on Saturday, and then be allowed to keep playing the next week, and the week after that, and the week after that? I don't think he's going to allow a whole lot. And I think what Monday was, and look, man, I'm quite confident he talked to the defense well before he talked to the media about his thoughts on that scrimmage. And the people that he was upset with, I think they absolutely know who he's talking about. I think they got that message loud and clear from after the scrimmage, and then obviously maybe when they met on Monday before media too. But yeah, man, I think I like this. I think it means something, and I like that he's not afraid to call people out. Now I guess he didn't really call people out though, did he? If you don't name names, you're just kind of being vague about it. But I like that he's okay showing that he's frustrated and that he expects more.
I'm of the belief, Corey, and I know this might make some people upset, but I made people upset before, so what the hell? This is not going to go perfect. This is not going to be a 12-0 season. There's going to be ups and downs. I think there's going to be a lot more ups than downs. So I was totally prepared to hear this, and it almost feels comforting to know that we're not living in this sort of fantasy land, that everything's going to be perfectly fine. We brought all these coaches from all corners of the country. We brought all these players from all these different programs, different levels, and we're going to just mesh perfectly fine. We're playing a top 10 team to start the season off with maybe a top 10 offensive line and a top 10 wide receiving core, but it's going to be totally all good. I'm not saying that we can't beat Alabama, but there needs to be reality kind of injected into not only, I think, our outlook, Corey. You talked about this as something that the fans probably need. I think that locker room, too. I think that locker room went into last season thinking everything was all good. I don't think there was a lot of, I'm concerned about this. We need to be better at this. I mean, I think Ira had a story up on Warchant the other day about Norvell's actually talking about, he said after the scrimmage, he likes the fight he's seen in his team. And I know we're not taking a lot of what Mike Norvell says to be on face value, but he wasn't saying those things. That was the crux of Ira's sort of story, was that I shouldn't be giving away a story. Everybody be a member of warchant.com. Read it for yourself. It's better that way. But Mike never said last year, and I don't remember him saying that, and Ira said in his story, so I'll believe Ira. But we didn't hear Mike Norvell say things about fight, determination, grit, things like that last year when he would talk about the team. It was measurables, fastest team, strongest team, biggest gains. So to hear him say that he thinks they're fighting better, they're showing more resiliency, to hear that this new coaching staff has a standard and they know it's not being met, but they're not afraid to call people out. And to your point, I think everybody was well aware of where they stand in the pecking order right now. But for him to underscore it in that fashion, it's like, all right, man, like this is the stuff that needs to be said, that needs to be set so that you can actually go out and attack a season and get better and know where you stand and be a good program. A program, that's the good season, but a program, once again, it feels like.
And you wonder, because the guys he did talk about, I thought it was, and we're still on Tony White here talking about the scrimmage on Sunday. The guys that he really kind of singled out, I don't think this is an accident. They're the freshmen. Yeah. You know, the Desir twins again. And I'm talking about like unsolicited. He talked about the Desir twins again. They must. It's almost like they're conjoined, because you never hear anybody say, "Man, Darrell Desir played well today."
Mandrell was
It's
out
always
there.
the twins,
Right.
like they're just out there as some being, like one sentient being. The two of them combined for one. But so he talked about them always play so hard with explosiveness and violence, and then he talked about Arnaud again.
Duty,
who made a big play.
It, Corey. Come on, say
Duty.
Duty.
Yeah, he talked about Duty. Yep, and it talked about the play he made, and that's the kind of stuff they want to see, and that he's challenging for playing time. But man, and Kevin Wynn, he talked about him too, that he's gaining in confidence. He's getting a little slimmer,
Losing weight,
he's
gaining
feeling
confidence. I like that.
Yeah, Yeah. And as if they're I think, number one, I don't think that's untrue. I think Wynn and the Desir twins are playing well and they're being noticed. But I think that's also he's putting, let's say, more experienced defensive linemen on notice. Like, he doesn't talk – he was asked about James Williams and said, yeah, he's playing well. He's coming around. Whatever he said, it was a nice thing. He said nice things about Darrell Jackson. Nobody else on that defensive line that's been here for longer than 7 months did he mention at all. Anybody that was on the team last year, he didn't mention at all on the defensive front. So when you try to and he said he liked what the linebackers are doing.
Right.
So I feel like, and again, we're left to speculate because there were no names, and I'm not going to throw out specific names, but maybe some guys on the back end. And I absolutely think there's some more veteran-type guys on the defensive line they're expecting to be a part of the rotation, to be a part of this team, to be a part of this defense, that are just not doing it for them. Whether it's just – maybe they play really well, but there's one lazy rep. And Tony White is the kind of coach that will harp on that because that's not winning football. You can't take plays off, especially when you're competing, especially when you haven't done anything. Like that, it doesn't take any talent to play hard. So that I can't imagine how much. And I know it's not nearly the scale, but nothing makes me madder watching my son play baseball than when I don't think he's trying hard, even if it's just warming up in between innings. Like I just hate. It doesn't take any talent at all to try really hard. And so I think when you hear coaches really upset, as he said, the ball's going to beat you sometimes. The ball's going to beat you. That's how he phrases it. Like we were talking about Jeremiah giving up some plays. He said, look, a couple times the ball beat him, as in it was a really good throw. And he was in phase. He did what he was supposed to do. He just got beat. It's football. It happens. What he can't stand is either a mistake because you're not paying attention and you don't know where you're supposed to be, or a mistake because of a lack of effort. And I do think this guy will hold their feet to the fire and make them be 100% accountable. He's trying to climb the ranks, man. This guy wants to be a head coach in 4 or 5 years. So even if it's completely individualistic, and I don't think it is, but even if it was, he wants a good defense, maybe not for the city of Tallahassee, maybe just for Tony White. He wants a really good defense. But even if he's selfish, that will make the Florida State program better, and he's going to hold those guys accountable because they put stuff on tape. And that gets him his next job. If his defense, look, he just went from Syracuse. 3 years ago, he was watching Jordan Travis catch a Philly special touchdown on his defense in the end zone. In a game his team lost 38-3. Now, that was 3 years ago. Now he's coaching that team. Because he put a lot of good stuff on film. He put a lot of good defensive numbers up. He's ascending. And he wants to keep ascending, and that you don't do that by letting guys half-ass it. So him calling players out and saying they got to step their ass up, I'm all about it. I am all about it, and I know most fans hearing that, there's a part of you that's like, man, I'd kind of like to hear the coach say how hard they played. And he loves what he saw. That'd be cool too. But you like knowing that if you don't see if he doesn't like something, he is not afraid to let you know, and he's not afraid to send messages. He's not their friend. He's their coach.
Amen. Well said, Corey. Impassioned. I love it. But I guess this is me being both sides, but it is cool to hear the Desir twins getting shine. It's cool to hear Juju Wynn getting a lot of shine, but is it concerning at all that it isn't Daniel Lyons? It isn't KJ Sampson. It isn't, I don't know who else is really in the mix. Who's our guy Flag that came in last year's class? I just think, now that I'm thinking about it, Tony White mentioned that he's had the honor of coaching so many freshmen All-American. So I don't think he's worried. He just needs numbers, right? He needs numbers and reliable guys. I don't think he cares about the number on your birth certificate. I think he just cares about, the way you're going to produce and live up to his expectations. But I am surprised. I should put it that way. I'm not concerned. I am very surprised, though, that we're not maybe hearing from some of these other names on the defensive line that have been here, because we felt like maybe this was finally their time to kind of step into some roles. But then, as you also said, linebackers seem to kind of be off the hook, so it has to be your front half and then the back end of the defense right now that are leaving a little bit to be desired. Curious about it, but I'm not concerned.
But also, what's the standard? You know what I mean? Like, I think he's trying to send a message, not like, I'm not sitting here for a 2-10 team anymore. I don't think he's saying, and I'm just, again, it's complete speculation. I don't think he's saying what he saw at that scrimmage on Sunday night was another 2-10 defense.
Not doing the Jeff Fisher 6-10 hard knocks.
Yeah, 7-9. I think it was 7-9.
7-9.
Like, I'm tired of that 7-9.
Yeah.
Which is all he ever did. But yeah, I don't think he's sitting there when he talks poorly about some effort and some guys not playing well, not playing as well as they need to. I don't think it's relative to like a 2-10 season. Like, we're going to be 2-10 again with this defense. He's got bigger goals than that, man. I think he's looking at what happened on Sunday night as that's not an ACC championship caliber defense. What I saw out there, it's not saying they can't be much, much better than they were last year. They better be, gosh darn it. But is that an ACC championship caliber defense? Is that a playoff caliber defense? And that's what so when he's lamenting what he didn't see and what he did see, I think we need to know what it's relative to. And I think contextually, this is a guy that expects to be in the top 15 in the country this year as a football team. A top 20 team challenging for a playoff. What he saw on Sunday night, and he knows he's going to need a lot of bodies too. So even if it's not like the starting 11 or the starting 15, most guys, like, he knows he's going to need like 25 guys. That's what he kept saying. We need all the guys on the bus, which I never really heard that phrase before, on the bus. Is he talking about like a road game? Like, we want all the good players to be on the bus? Because, sometimes not everybody that's on the team gets to go to the game,
right?
Even in a home game. Yeah. It's only like the top 80 get to get off the bus, and on a road game, maybe it's the top 65 or 70, whatever. But yeah, he's like saying we need everybody on the bus, meaning maybe it's guys that he's not counting on to be like starters this year, but contributing backup players where they might need some snaps from them. And injuries happen, and you need people to step up. And he doesn't like that some of these guys aren't. So I don't want people to think, gosh darn, the starting 11 must not try hard at all. They might be playing it just fine and just up to his expectations. It's the guys behind them that should be pushing them, that they expect to make a jump from last year to this year or from the spring to now, that aren't doing it. And it might be the fourth defensive end or the sixth linebacker or the second safety, first corner on the other side. We have no idea, but I don't think it's necessarily an indictment of how bad the defense has played. It's just it's the standard that this coach has. And hopefully it's a really high standard. Hope he holds these people to it, these players to it.
The high standard of sports bars in Tallahassee, Florida is set by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill over at 2475 Appalachia Parkway. You can check out their menu online at cptallybar.com. You can read all about the Corey wrap on there, as well as their daily lunch specials. But trivia is going down tonight, and on every weekday, there's the happy hour from 4 to 7 p.m. That's happy hours, not just happy hour. And then all day Sunday. Yes, even during the NFL, everybody. That's how they get down at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Delicious food, ice cold drinks, darts, billiards, a jukebox, live music on the weekends, 40 television screens, owned and operated locally by a Florida State alum who loves the program, loves you folks too, and he helps us out here on our program. Which, speaking of, usually Friday nights before home games, it's Jeff and Corey, entertaining the masses at Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. But on the eve of the Alabama game, on the eve of the resurrection of Florida State under Mike Norvell, Corey Clark and myself will be doing a live show originating from the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Details to be ironed out here in the forthcoming days and weeks, maybe. But if you're going to be in town, just know Friday night, Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. We're going to have the whole gang there, but Corey and I will get up there and tap dance for about 30, 45 minutes. But the whole gang should be there. Come on out. It'll be awesome. It always is at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Park. It's Wake Up Warchant. We are back. It's presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Thinking about this earlier, Corey, about the defense.
Hey, real quick, back to Tony White real quick.
Sure.
Are you still going to stay on the defense?
Yeah, but...
Okay,
if
never mind. Go ahead, then.
No, you go ahead. It might be...
Okay, good. It's perfect. Hey, well done, Aslan. Well done. Smart decision on your part. No, I was going to say, I think what hit different about Tony White on Monday is, I don't know, man. I I don't remember Adam Fuller having press conferences like that. I could be wrong. I'm sure there were times where he made it very obvious that he was not happy with the way his team has played, but I don't remember him ever challenging guys quite like that. And, quite frankly, other than, what he did at Florida State, and a lot of that was the pieces that were given to him, he didn't have the resume of Tony White. I don't know if his message resonated as much as Tony White's does. But do you remember Adam Fuller ever, it was just so unique because we're not used to defensive coordinators at Florida State. I can't even, since Mickey, we couldn't talk to him with Jimbo. So I don't remember the last time a defensive coordinator called out a football team or certain football players very pointedly like Tony White did. And I think that when you come off 2-10, Florida State fans are all about that. Don't let them be comfortable.
I like Adam Fuller, and I hesitate to say this because it almost sounds like sour apples, but I think he would get his most gritty and... Do
you mean sour grapes?
What did I say? Sour what?
You said sour apples.
Oh, sorry. I'm looking at the vitamin energy drink in front of me. I apologize. Okay. Yeah, sour apples are delicious. I don't want it to be sour grapes, everybody. But he would give us some pushback when things would work out. Right? When he was like, oh, you guys doubted us in this and look at us now kind of stuff. And it's all right, that was cool in 2023. I don't know if we got a lot of it last year, but we never got a lot of, I'm really disappointed in these guys. They need to get better. I'm not settling for this anymore. X, Y, and Z. And then that goes back to so many people's concerns from last year, Corey, was that, the same guys would week in and week out be sent back out there on the field, hoping against all hope that somehow things were going to change and they were going to play with more effort and more ferocity, and it just never happened. So we definitely, it's a new thing. It's an old new thing, right? Because I think if we got Mickey Andrews at a podium after a scrimmage in the middle of the preseason in 2004 or 2008, I'm sure, and maybe those aren't good comparisons. 2003, how about that? That was a good season still. I think he would have struck a similar tone about guys probably not playing hard enough because you had to play really hard. You had to play with really relentless effort to get on the field under Mickey Andrews, and hopefully Tony White's trying to replicate that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think he's a guy that seems to be comfortable in his own skin where, it's kind of an indictment. It can be an indictment of you as a coach if you're criticizing your players for not playing hard or not being where they're supposed to be. They're not doing what they're taught. Well, then teach them better. That's a obvious counterpoint to that. But I think he seems so comfortable in his skin and his resume and who he is, because a lot of coaches don't want to admit fault. So that happened sometime with Norvell last year, where he wouldn't just come out and say, yeah, we made mistakes, or yeah, I screwed that up, or whatever. He just wouldn't admit mistakes. And Adam Fuller really didn't, because I think maybe they weren't I don't know. Maybe they just weren't completely confident in their resume or whatever. I just think Tony White seems completely confident and comfortable in who he is as a coach, that he's willing to call people out, not caring if it looks like an indictment on him. Because some coaches won't want to admit that their team doesn't play hard, including Jimbo Fisher, would hardly ever talk about his team quitting or not playing hard, because it was a hit to his ego. But I think Tony White maybe I don't know, rises above that, or just doesn't have that, or he's got the new car smell because he's never coached a game here before. So a year from now, if they go 7-5 and his defense looks pretty bad at times, and then we're sitting here again next August, and his defense just finished 61st in the country in total defense and has some really stinkers, and then he's after the second scrimmage, he's talking about how they're not trying, and if they're not going to try, they're not going to play. Well, nobody wants to hear that next year. This year, you get kind of it's a grace period. But next year, you better have this thing dialed up where they all know the standard and you're not having to complain about it publicly.
We're going to celebrate the offense here in a moment, but I did want to bring this up, and then we can just bury it and move on, Corey. But I do wonder when, some people think that the 2-10, Mike won't be able to run away from it. He won't be able to ever get away with it. It's going to just kind of linger over him, and things probably are not going to end well here in Tallahassee. We'll see how it all goes. And I'm not trying to make an excuse, but I do wonder how many of those guys that are maybe not giving enough effort. Obviously were guys that were here last year that had to go through what last year was and how much that just took out of them. And maybe these were guys that also played in the bowl game in 2023, right? Like you went out there, you were maybe part of the team, got some reps in 2023, but then you had to kind of be thrown into the wolves, into that bowl game, deal with that indignity. Then you come back and it's 2-10 and everything just kind of going wrong, and just how difficult it might be, even with a new slate, even with new coaches and wanting to flush that, how much of that can maybe still be in the back of the psyche of a guy where he just can't maybe find that fifth gear, that extra edge that Mike keeps talking about because of like what has happened here the last few years. Now, if you're a ultimate competitor, you'll get past it, but there's not a lot of ultimate competitors out there in this day and age when there's so many other distractions and motivations for being out there playing football. Any thought on that?
Well, and that could be the message. That could be the message that Tony White is trying to deliver. Like, I'm sure there are some guys that are they've been here for the last 13 games and they're 2-11, and one of the two was a win over Charleston Southern. So and again, I don't count Georgia as an actual game for the 2023 season, but for the purposes of the guys that are still on this roster that were in that game, that counts. That happened to them. They were out there. So they lived through it. So as Aslan said, that indignity followed by the ultimate indignity of one of the worst seasons in program history. You and Tony White's here like, man, I'm not here for this. Quit feeling sorry for yourself. Pick it up or get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what happened before I got here, but it's a new day, and I want this out of you and this out of you, and I'm tired of this. Like, I just think that all that, and there can be where you just get in a rut and you think, this is who I am. I'm a bad player on a bad football team. And you don't you don't need that. Get it out of the locker room or change it. And I think there's just a message there that he's trying to change. For all I know, it might be a message to one singular person.
Right.
We have no idea. But I do know that I like it when he's upset, he'll let you know he's upset.
Absolutely. All right, let's celebrate this offense. Gus still plays things kind of close to vest, and even I think at one point was like, we're not there yet in terms of his expectations for where he needs his offense to be, but they're making good progress. Biggest sort of development or thing from Gus, in your opinion, Corey, was it more about the offensive line finally getting those 5 guys? He said he saw practice after practice, day after day growth. Or is it kind of the insinuation that, as you mentioned in a few shows ago, Corey, he was kind of like the GM, right? Like when he took this job, it was, all right, I'm going to take the job, but I'm also going to grab that guy for quarterback, and I want all these sort of players. And to the best of this university and this program's ability, they went out and got all those guys. So it shouldn't be that surprising to know that he's got a starting 11 in mind, but he was a little bit assertive about it, so that makes me feel really good.
Yeah.
What was your bigger takeaway?
Yeah, I think he definitely tipped his hand on most everything. It sounds like the guys that they brought in for the offensive line are going to be the starting offensive line. I mean, that's certainly not a stunner, right? You didn't bring in Pettis to sit the bench and pay him the money you're paying him. But he talked about how now that offensive line has been able to work together, those 5 guys have been able to work together, four new guys and Richie Leonard, plus Rizzi's in there now too. So that helps. I mean, he's a rotation piece, but he's a veteran guy and a transfer, and I think he'll be maybe part of the plans. But those 5 guys being able to work together, I think Malzahn, he wasn't lauding them with flowers or anything, but he did just say it makes a difference. Those guys, all 5 of them being together, they're getting continuity. They're able to communicate. You can tell a difference now. They're getting more and more comfortable with it, and it's helping things out and opening things up. Also, he was asked about wide receivers, and I just think that stuff is the most telling. It goes back to yesterday on Sunday when I asked Norvell about the best running back, and he mentioned all of them. But it's who he mentions first.
Yeah.
I just think it's whoever jumps to. It's a little trick, everyone. It's a little trick, everyone. If you want to like test your partner and be like, I know this is a weird game, but of all my friends, who are you the most attracted to? If there's a name that comes out immediately, be on alert. So the fact they're like, oh, and I like this. I like Samantha. I like Becky. I like Barbara. But it doesn't matter it's Samantha's the one. Yeah. So him saying Chroma, and then Malzahn, when he's asked about the wide receivers, saying, well, it all starts with Deuce. Well, that's a good thing to hear. Malzahn even though he hasn't had a ton of like high draft pick wide receivers, he's been around. He's been playing against them forever, and he's had number one receivers. He knows what it means to have good wide receivers. Deuce being the number one, like unquestioned, in my mind, just the fact that he said it starts with him, that's a good sign. You might have a guy that's ascending into something, maybe, dare I say, special, at least pretty darn good as a college football player. He mentioned Squirrel. Who was the third wide receiver he mentioned, Aslan?
Javen Boggs.
And then that was a wrap. Didn't mention anyone else.
Nope.
So if you're wondering where we are right now as we talk on August 12th about this football team and this offense, if it were to start today, those are your top three wide receivers. Squirrel White, who he mentioned second, so it was Deuce Robinson, Squirrel White, and then Javen Boggs. And he goes, they've kind of separated themselves. Well, there you go. That's some clarity. I like having clarity. So we know those three guys. We know Randy Pittman's your tight end, at least your starter probably, and then we'll see if Landon, when he's healthy or available or unlimited, and then Amari Williams is playing more tight end now. So, but then the offensive line is the way it is. We kind of know that, and I think we understand that Cromaw, the way he talks about Cromaw, the way Norvell talks about Cromaw, and then Sawchuk and what he's done, I think we kind of know what this offense is going to be. At least the starting, let's say 14. Jalen Lucas is going to be there at times. There's also going to be obviously some receivers, Roy Dell.
What about Danzy?
Landon.
What do you have to say about Danzy? I know he was asked about Danzy.
He kind of pumped the brakes a little bit too.
Okay.
So I just think it's a guy that maybe he can have a few plays, some scripted plays for him, but I don't think he's a guy that, hey man, Squirrel White hobbled off the field. Mekhi, get in there and play the Z or play the – I just don't think that's what he's going to be. I think they could have some script plays for him, but I don't think he's going to be playing 60 snaps a game. I just don't think he's anywhere close to ready for that. But anyway, so I think we know. And I feel like, just the way he comes across, he seems, not overly confident, certainly not cocky, but at least somewhat confident that he's putting together a decent to good offense. But he always has, so why wouldn't he be?
What did you think about the comment about Amari Williams? Was there any passive aggressive in that, or am I just trying to stir the pot when he was like, "You guys can ask Mike about the plan on using him on whatever side of the ball," or something along the lines of that? Because we don't know right now, right? We don't know is Amari Williams tight end? Is he defensive end? Is he both? 60-40? What how's it going to break down?
Yeah, we don't. I think some of it has to do with the health of Landon Thomas. And again, I don't know anything other than we know he's been limited. And then on the other side, it's the development of Jaden Jones and Jason Jenkins coming back from the injury. Maybe Amari Williams isn't as needed right now on the defensive side of the ball as he is on the offensive side of the ball, so he kind of goes where he's needed. But he mentioned him, and he said he's a really, really good athlete, and seemed pretty impressed by him. So yeah, that's going to be something to monitor too. I think he wants him, but I bet Terrence Knighton wants him too. So it's going to be interesting to see not just what happens in the Alabama game or even what happens this first month of the season, where Amari Williams' career ends up going. Like, what if he plays tight end kind of in a pinch the first month of the season and has 3 touchdown catches? Are you then, if Landon Thomas gets healthy, or if you become really, really healthy at tight end, or Chase Lofton becomes a guy really early, are you moving him back to defensive end? I don't know. These are all things I guess we'll see as his career progresses. It's a good problem to have, though, because apparently he's good enough to be a Division I caliber tight end and defensive end. That's nice.
What about his assessment of Tommy Castellanos? Ira asked him about turnovers, protecting the ball, things like that. Sounds like Gus is pretty pleased with what he's getting out of Tommy so far.
Yeah, said he's been really good in that regard. You talked about the interception. So did Tony White. He said it was a great play, and then Seminoles.com tweeted out the actual pick. It's a really, really nice catch. It wasn't like it wasn't a good throw. It either wasn't a good throw or somebody didn't run the right route, because there was not. He might have stepped in front of a receiver we can't see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there is a chance when you look at it, we don't know exactly who Tommy's throwing to. If he's throwing to that receiver that's coming out of the break, that's not a good throw. But he might have been throwing to somebody a little deeper in the pattern. And Jeremiah Wilson, because his eyes are on the quarterback, stepped in front of it, leapt in front of it, made a great play, and then took it to the house for a pick six. We got that info that Tony White said. We didn't know that yesterday, Mike, did we? Can't tell us it's a pick six? Just an interception? I mean, good night. You scored 19 touchdowns total last year. One of your defensive guys scores one. You can't let us know? Come on, man. But, yeah, I thought he was, very telling talking about Tommy and talking about the fact that, yes, right after that he hit a long touchdown pass, presumably to Squirrel White, and then led another touchdown drive and just is becoming more and more confident in everything he does. Yeah, I mean, again, I think you're looking at a quarterback that could be – I mean, at this point, I just think he's going to be a good quarterback. He's not great. He's not Charlie Ward, but he's not J.J. Cosentino either. Or, for that matter, Brock Glenn. He is a good college quarterback that is going to make a lot of plays for you. He's going to make you rub your eyes sometimes, perhaps, with some bad throws to guys that are open, or he's not seeing it quick enough, but he's going to make up for it a lot of times with just the unique ability to make plays with his legs or to extend plays and then find guys downfield. But it sounds like he's doing a lot of good things with his right arm, which is really promising, and he's got guys to throw to. And, again, we haven't talked about this yet, but Alabama named their starting quarterback on Tuesday. It's Ty Simpson. I didn't realize, Aslan, that I guess I've asked you this before, and you've told me, and I'm always surprised each time. He's a redshirt junior.
Correct.
So he's not some superstar up-and-comer.
No, but he was really heralded as a recruit. But he didn't play in front of Jalen Milroe.
He played 2 years behind Milroe.
Yeah.
And he's completed – I just looked it up. What's he completed in his career? He's completed 29 passes in his career. He's been in college football for 3 seasons. He's completed 29 passes. His first game is going to be on the road at Doak Campbell Stadium against Florida State. I get it. It's Alabama. They don't start scrubs. He might be awesome. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying as you go into this game, you have a kid that has 60-something touchdowns under his name and has an 1,100-yard rusher in one season and had 3,000 yards in one season and 5,000 yards in his career or something, compared to a guy that's thrown for, I'm doing the math real, 380 yards in 3 seasons. That's a pretty big advantage you think you have, right?
Clearly.
Right?
Clearly.
All right. Well, I mean, but Ty Simpson might not be any good. He probably is, like I said, and he's going to be coached well because those guys know what they're doing. He also has Ryan Williams to throw to and a really good offensive line. All that's going to make him look better than maybe he even is. But, man, this is not a slam dunk. You go into this game with a quarterback that has had a ton of reps and a ton of live game experience, that is otherworldly with the ball in his hands, and you're going against a guy that, has completed 29 passes in his career. And whether he was heralded or not, it's been 3 years of sitting the bench, and he didn't even give Milroe a run for his money last year when Milroe was struggling like that. So, I don't know. It's not like you should be shaking in your boots thinking about Alabama coming in here. I know as I say that they could be up 42-0 at halftime. He could be the next Joe Namath. But I'm just saying, when you look at it on paper here in August, you're not mortified by the thought of Ty Simpson. I shouldn't even say Ty Simpson.
I mean, that's what gives you hope. That's really the biggest glimmer of hope in this entire thing.
And not because we know anything about him. He's a complete unknown. I'm saying the fact that to throw out the name, I shouldn't even say his name because I don't know anything about him. I've never watched him play. A redshirt junior quarterback who's never started a game. That isn't something that would strike fear into a lot of people's eyes. Yeah. So anyway, or hearts, I guess. You don't strike fear into eyes. So that's, I think you go in certainly having the more experienced quarterback, and by God, you might have the better quarterback by a wide margin. Or Ty Simpson, like I said, could be the next Joe Namath or Ken Stabler. Let me go to Ken Stabler. He's another Alabama great.
Thank you. I like that.
Yeah, we'll go to the old lefty.
Yeah, if you're an Alabama fan, this is going to be a really exciting matchup because, you're either going to leave Tallahassee feeling super great about your program and your team and your coach, or you're going to leave with a loss and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this guy's not it. That being Kalen DeBoer. I don't know how I would bet on it, man. DeBoer and what him and Ryan Grubb have done pretty much everywhere they've been with quarterbacks. Now, 2 times, at Indiana and Washington, it was the same quarterback. It was Michael Penix. But, they did really good stuff at Fresno State. And, I don't know, but he really didn't make Jalen Milroe any better. But, this wide receiving core, this offensive line, they don't have anybody really dynamic at running back. So, I mean, the offense might be somewhat manageable to go up against. And defensively, I still don't, I mean, they keep dropping names like Tim Keenan, supposed to be like a really strong, powerful anchor on their defensive line. And, Deontay Lawson's back. I mean, they got really good secondary. But, Gus wants to run the ball, like downhill. I don't know if Alabama, will Alabama's front be able to be Saban-esque? We'll see how it goes. But, I mean, Ty Simpson being the starting quarterback for Alabama, a guy that, to your point, has been there for 4 years and hasn't started a game of consequence.
I might be wrong. He might have started against USF 2 years ago.
I think
because I'm looking at that. I'm looking at his game log, and I remember they benched Milroe maybe, or they benched, and then they went back to Milroe after that.
Yeah, but they lost to Texas, I think, maybe the week before.
Yeah, that's right. And that didn't matter, did it? They still got in the national championship, or they still got in the playoff. But
it was a sloppy game, though, real quick. Sorry, that was like a rain-soaked, drenched game, if I'm not mistaken. Not to make excuses for the kid, but he clearly didn't take the bull by the horns.
So he went in that game. He went 5. This is the only game he's played where it was actually in doubt. You know what I'm saying? It was a game where he was playing real, legitimate, competitive
consequences
snaps.
to his actions.
With consequential snaps, whether he started or not. But he was 5 for 9 for 73 yards. So he threw 9 times. He had a long of 45, so that's good. But the other 8 passes, he totaled 28 yards total. They won 17-3. And I think one of them was like a defensive touchdown. And he was sacked 5 times. So the way I'm looking at it, it looks like he dropped back to back. He dropped back to pass 14 times, completed 5 passes, and was sacked 5 times. And that was against USF, who you hope Florida State has built its roster to the point where it's at least got, a little bit better athletes, or at least similar athletes than what the 2023 USF team had. And that was the last time he played any meaningful snaps at all, as far as I can tell. Again, people grow. Florida State made its living in the early part of the dynasty by playing redshirt junior quarterbacks who had never started games, and that all worked out perfectly. It might work out great. Ryan Grubb might hold the key as the new offensive coordinator at Alabama. It all might happen. I'm just saying, I don't. Did Roy Dell Williams run for 129 yards in that game?
He did.
That's
I thought
crazy.
He was the truth. I saw that game. I'm like, they got this figured out. They at least got their running back now. They're going to be all right, and he might have peaked that day.
So that's crazy. And so Alabama was only up 10-3 with 40 seconds left in the game, and then Simpson QB sneaked it in the fourth quarter with 30 seconds left to finish out the game. So they had scored 1 touchdown basically the entire game, and they snuck it in with 30 seconds left to make it 17-3. So again, he doesn't have any real history to draw from. And it is one thing to look good in practice, as we all know. It's a whole other thing when you're the starting effing quarterback at Alabama, coming off for them a disappointing season. So just saying, I know people have worries about Tommy Castellanos, and they're right to worry. He wasn't great last year at Boston College. Horrible, not a great offense for him, but he wasn't great. He wasn't great consistently the year before. He has some greatness in him. He's made great plays. He's had great games, but he has not been consistently great or even good. But I just think you go into this game with Gus Malzahn and him and the strides you made at receiver, I feel like you go into it pretty confident that you might have the better quarterback.
Yeah,
so that's
absolutely.
cool.
Yeah,
because he didn't at all last year against anyone.
No, definitely not. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, who was the worst quarterback they played last year outside of Charleston Southern? Because that Mendoza kid at Cal that they beat, he was better than any quarterback, obviously, that Florida State had. But I wonder who they could have been on a field with and been like, we have
the Duke kid. The Duke kid.
Malik Murphy? I don't know, man.
I wasn't impressed by that kid at all. I would say him, and then, that's probably it. Definitely not Lagway. I mean, that guy, the way he soldiered through that hamstring injury, we'll never forget it.
Edge.
It's like Kerry Strug. It's like the modern-day version of Kerry Strug landing that vault. Yeah, Kurt Schilling pitching with a bloody sock. Tiger Woods playing a playoff round of the U.S. Open on a broken leg. Like, that's all Lagway. That's all Lagway-esque. Yeah. I would say the Duke kid is – and look, man, it's not like DJU – it wasn't all DJU's fault. We all understand that, I hope. In hindsight, with what they had at offensive line, what they had at running back, what they had at receiver, Tommy Castellanos would have been a huge upgrade on DJU just because of what he could have done with his feet. But I don't want to. It's not. I hope Florida State fans, and I know I've been sarcastic about that addition last year at quarterback, but I hope people understand that in no way do I blame 2024 on DJU. That was Norvell's fault. Norvell should have known this isn't a good fit for my offense. Norvell should have known my offensive line is going to suck, and Norvell should have known these receivers aren't dependable and they're not going to be very good. If he'd have known all that, you don't bring in somebody like DJU. You do bring in somebody like Tommy Castellanos, who can make bad plays look good because he just gets out of jams and can run around for 8 seconds till one of your slow-footed, not great receivers can finally get open. So because DJU's, I know he's played pretty well in the preseason. It sounds like he's got a chance to be an NFL quarterback as a backup, and I don't want people to think that I just put all the blame at his feet. It is all at the head coach's feet. I wish he'd have gone somewhere. Frankly, he'd have gone somewhere that could have used him better because he's not as bad as Florida State made him look. I don't know why I felt the need to say that. I just did. Also, real quick, I noticed that Ty Simpson had a 78-yard touchdown run.
Watch out.
In 20, and then I looked at the game log, and it was against UT Chattanooga. But still, 78 yards is 78 yards, baby. That's longer than any run Castellanos has ever had.
Ah, yes, the dog days of summer are here. For a lot of folks, that means sending the kids off to college. For a lot of you, it means you're going to be going off to college. Ask for a gift on your way out. Ask for security. Ask for style. Mom and dad, help your kid out going to college. They're going to lose their wallet probably because they're probably going to get a little tipsy one night. And by little, I mean a lot tipsy. And they're going to lose their wallet. When's the last time you guys lost your wallets? Never, right? But I lost my wallet all the time in college. I wish I had Ridge and their great wallets that now have AirTag compatibility. So get your Apple AirTag, slips right into your money clip on your Ridge wallet. You lose your wallet, quote unquote. You didn't really lose it. You're going to know where it's at because you can track it with the AirTag. Ridge gives you the goods. And they also give you the peace of mind of a lifetime warranty, free shipping, 99-day risk-free trial. Give it a try. Treat yourself. Also treat that young man or woman in your life that's going and seeking out higher education. Use the promo code WAKEUP over at ridge.com to save on your order. Again, the promo code WAKEUP over at ridge.com. We're back. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Speaking of quarterbacks, Corey, who's the number 2 quarterback at Florida State right now?
Well, according to Malzahn, it's Kevin Sperry.
Who's going to be the number 2 quarterback against Miami?
You know, I'm not doing that. I still think it's Brock.
I think Brock. God, somebody love me. I guess I have a girlfriend now that loves me a lot. But man, somebody.
No, I think Brock is a little. I think Norvell even said this. A little slowed. Let's say slowed, limited. Let's say limited by injury. Now he needs to get out there. I think Sperry could pass him by. But yeah, no, I still think Brock Glenn's your number 2. If something happens to Castellanos early in the season, I don't think I could be wrong. I just wouldn't think Sperry's ready. I would think Brock Glenn is your guy. But I'm telling you, unless he's put on a bunch of weight and lost that mobility, Sperry running the ball is fun. That's a cool weapon to have in your holster. Again, that doesn't you can only have a gun in your holster, right? Right?
Yeah. Or maybe a taser.
Who says? Oh, yeah. I guess you could have a taser in your holster. I don't know if is that a weapon. I guess it's a weapon. By the way, I go down rabbit holes sometimes on YouTube, my algorithm, and there'll be times where these idiots, run from the cops, and they get tased. They act a fool. By the way, it's not like these are tasers that shouldn't be tased. Like, oh, you feel bad for the person. They're in the cop's face. They're acting a fool. They push them. Then they start running. They push somebody else. They push a bystander. They kick an old lady. And then watching them just get tased and go to the ground by a cop. It's all on YouTube, folks. I'll watch it for hours. I'm sure Ira doesn't like hearing that when I'm not doing work. But he would understand if he saw some of these body cam footages of people getting tased. But anyway, so yeah, I guess you could have a taser in a holster and a gun in a holster, or any weapon. You put a knife in a holster, I guess. It's just a dumb thing for me to say, to put a weapon in a holster. It's usually a gun. But Kevin Sperry, I'm not down on him. I just think, man, I I don't want to just kick Brock Glenn to the curb quite yet. I'm just not ready to do it quite yet.
Okay.
Ty Simpson wasn't kicked to the curb.
No, he wasn't.
Right?
No, he wasn't.
Yeah.
No. Which is very interesting. It's very, very interesting. Well, again, this is, especially if you're an Alabama fan, this game is clearly more intriguing for Florida State fans because you're breaking in all these new pieces. Alabama's bringing a lot of continuity back, but they do have this new quarterback, and he's a guy that has not done anything. So you either look at this coach and you're like, what an idiot. He believed in this guy that's never done anything. And put all his chips with this great roster around him. This is the guy that he picked. I can't believe this is our head coach. Or the kid goes out there and, throws for 270 and 2 touchdowns and doesn't turn the ball over and they win the game. And you're like, wow, we actually have a quarterback now that wants to function within the offense, right? I think there's some parallel, I think, between him and Tommy Castellanos where you feel like maybe bad fit, right? Like Tommy wasn't a good fit in Bill O'Brien's offense, him being with Gus, that unlocks things. Maybe him full season of kind of seeing the way that, DeBoer and now Grubb want to run things. Maybe he's a little bit more comfortable, but I feel better about Florida State's quarterback right now, crazily enough. But there's a whole bunch of other guys on the field at the same time, though.
And it's not fair to judge someone by one start 2 years ago, but the one thing that should give Florida State fans hope is the 5 sacks that South Florida had against him. He clearly wasn't ready. It's also like, once they saw that South Florida couldn't score, it was like it looks like it was kind of like the Brock Glenn game against Louisville. Just don't lose the game for us, Ty. And he was a redshirt freshman at the time, so it wasn't like he was a seasoned guy. And it was his first real playing time. But like getting sacked 5 times, like if he comes out in the first quarter, the first half, and he's getting the ball and he's reading it and seeing it and firing it, But if he's hesitating a little, which is very, very normal for, and I don't want to say a young quarterback, but inexperienced quarterbacks, first real game action in 2 years, he might start seeing some ghosts. He might not see it real quickly, and he starts holding on to the ball. Well, the difference in the 2 quarterbacks is when one holds on to the ball, he can then keep holding on to the ball and run for first downs. The other guy might just get sacked at will. So, and also last year, if a receiver wasn't open on that offense, which seemed like a lot of times, or at least the quarterback didn't see anybody open, that kid was a unique special athlete that could still make plays with his feet. Now, Ty Simpson is not slow. He is an athlete, but he's not Jalen Milroe, and he's not Tommy Castellanos. So the point being, what gives you hope is that if he, in a game situation, if it's not clicking, if he's just think of Kromenhoek last year. Like all those sacks weren't on the offensive line. He didn't see it and he didn't trust it and he get rid of the ball. If you can confuse this quarterback enough that he's not trusting what he's seeing right away and he has to pat the ball a few times, well then that's where you make your hay, man. And that should give people hope that he getting sacked 5 times on 14 dropbacks. I know it was 2 years ago, but that's not good. And sometimes guys either have it or they don't. He's probably learned a lot in the last 2 years, and I'm not holding that game against him. But, oh, boy, what if he hasn't? What if he's just a sack machine? That's going to be fun. It'll be good. And you can really rattle guys like that, man. And you can confuse them. So hopefully they will.
AP poll, Florida State receiving votes.
Let's go. Let's go, gang.
Don't be a fan later.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly right. That's right. Apparently the last team to win the national, I saw this on Twitter, the last team to win the national championship that started the season outside the preseason top 10 was Florida State in 2013. And they were 11th. They were either 11th or 12th. So it wasn't like they came out of nowhere. They were also the reigning ACC champs and had won 12 games the year before, but somehow they were 11th. But whatever. But yeah, so I would think that that's a kind of a cool stat, right?
Yeah, I like it a lot. Also,
it probably means that Florida State's not going to win the national championship this year. Yeah. If recent history is any indication, you need to be in the top 10.
Also, interestingly enough, first ever time Texas is number 1 in the preseason AP poll. And
what?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, to start the season. Yeah.
Is that the most overrated, overhyped college football program then? What in the world?
No, they're not overhyped. They never get ranked number one. They finally just got ranked number one for the first time.
But we always talk about them as like they're Alabama or Georgia. Or they're Alabama or Ohio State. Like Alabama's got like 15 national titles. I know a lot of them were before integration, so that doesn't count. But even after that, they've got like 8. Ohio State's got 4 or 5. Georgia's got 3. Florida State's got 3. Miami's got – how many's Miami got? 3 or 5?
5.
Like all these teams that have all these national titles, Texas has won 1 in my lifetime, and they've never been ranked preseason number 1.
Right.
But we talk about them as if they're the program. Man, they're like the Buffalo Bills. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
So they're ranked number 1 in the preseason AP top 25 for the first time in program history. Funny enough, they're also an underdog in their first game of the year, which is the first time a number 1 team has been an underdog in the first game of the season. They're playing at Columbus against defending national champion Ohio State.
Well, that stands to reason, huh? Like when it'd be crazy if that was like a regular occurrence. The number 1 team in the country starts the season as an underdog. But yeah, that's what's Ohio State 3?
I don't have the full. I tried to find it. I wanted to find the good graphic. That
I think I saw that Penn State was 2.
Yeah, Ohio State 3, Clemson 4, Georgia 5, Notre Dame 6, Oregon 7, Bama 8, LSU 9, Miami 10. And as everybody's tweeted, there's, last 29 years or something, one of the teams that's been in the top 10 has not finished the season ranked at all.
Right. Nope.
And Miami, we're looking at you, everybody. Don't let us down. Don't let us down. I mean, I don't think Penn State would fall off that bad. I don't think Clemson will. I don't think Georgia will. Oregon, I don't think so. Bama, maybe Bama, LSU, maybe.
I would say Bama, LSU, Miami. Bama, sure. LSU, and Miami are your 3
most likely
best candidates for that. Yeah.
All right. Maybe you guys will talk about that on Seminole Headlines after a 1-week hiatus. Back in the mix.
Back with a vengeance.
Yeah. Who do we get today? We get Mike.
David Johnson.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, no Mike today. Yak and assorted student athletes.
Assorted players, yeah. So maybe Cromaw.
Maybe Sawchuck.
Maybe we already got him, didn't we? We got Sawchuck. We could get Singleton or Roydell. I like Roydell.
Yeah.
But you would think we'd get running back since we're getting the running back coach. But who knows? Who knows?
That's why you subscribe to warchant.com. You subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get a notification when those videos drop. And you can watch the whole thing if you want to listen to it. Or you can get the summary from Corey Clark over on warchant.com. And much, much more recruiting news, visitors, elite visitors, possibly coming on campus for official visits during the Alabama game. The staff's not afraid of Alabama, Corey. They want to bring the big dogs on campus and show you what you can be a part of. So I'm finding strength and joy in that. So you do as well, everybody. Thanks for listening to the show. Again, Seminole Headlines, 1 to 3 o'clock, warchant.com, around the clock, and we'll get interviews around 11:30 or so this morning. So be on the lookout for that. He's Corey Amazon. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com.